Let me take you to Limpopo. The Premier in that province, Stan Mathabatha, is denying any prior knowledge of a controversial shack settlement funded by his province. He unveiled the 40 shacks in the Greater Tzaneen Local Municipality from Friday. Listen to the numbers. The provincial department paying 2.4 million rand for the shacks. That's about 60,000 rand per shack. Now, he says, he only found out about the units on the day of the unveiling and tells us he was unaware of the poor quality of the units. Live to the scene, eNCA's Manqoba Mchunu is following that story. You're in front of one of those dwellings. That's what 60,000 rand buys you. What's the problem?
Well, indeed, Jeremy, and the question right now is this a flagship low-cost housing project or a flop? I think that's the question that many South Africans are grappling with. I just want to move out of shot, Jeremy, so that we can show you these structures so that you have a better sense of what they are like. As you can see there, these are made of corrugated iron, and we're told that these are two-bedroom structures that contain somehow of a kitchen as well as a bedroom. And inside also you can see there the door that has been attached to these structures. Many of the residents, of course, raising complaints about the quality of some of the material that has been used to put together these shacks. And also we do understand that there are also two windows that are part of these structures that have been built here. So what we do know at this point, Jeremy, is that each of these single structure costs to the tune of 64,000 rand. So 40 of them have been erected here at Talana. On Friday, we saw the Premier cutting the ribbon and leading that ceremony and saying that this is actually meant to improve the lives of the people and actually to bring about dignity to those people who had been staying in a nearby informal settlement in a hostel not far away from where we are. But I just want to rope in some of the residents just to hear whether they or not they think that 64,000 is actually a good price for these shacks that we see here. So let me start with you, Baba. What do you think about these shacks? What has been your experience so far of this these shacks?
Professionally, we are not happy because these shacks, they said they're worth more than 64 million and for 64,000. And according to the material, even today, right now, together with the journalists, we try to open the door they broken. And so professionally, it can be. I think and understand maybe if it's the RDP was just a little bit better because 2-something million, they can help for few communities to accommodate with their community. Professionally, we are not happy. And I'm just a little bit surprised because our Premier, he cut the ribbon for the temporary shacks. And for me, I just, even right now, don't understand how possible the provincial command council to cut the ribbon for the shacks.
Okay, show me some of these structural defects that you're talking about, the things that you're saying are broken in the house. Let's just take us through that.
Professionally, we try to open the door, then the door is a little bit broken, and even down. So they make a lot of noise, even if maybe you can check even the windows and no, professionally the structure, they can't waste such money compared to the RDP houses. So as communities, we're not aware to maybe we can get this. This one is to just take us for law just granted as it is.
So do you think this is a waste of money?
Professionally is the waste of money because if we know and understand we are suffer, but we were expected for the beautiful things, not this one. This one we know we are poor and the poorest, but for this one our government, they just reduce our dignity as a local communities.
Okay. Well, Jeremy, you can hear some of the sentiments from the residents here saying that, of course, just days after these shacks were launched, in fact, there are already structural defects. Some of the doors are already broken, and there are issues also with some of the windows. So those are some of the concerns that have kind of raised eyebrows with this project in particular. And the questions around how could a shack basically cost an amount of 64,000 rand? Where did all that money go to? So those are some of the questions that we're hoping to get answers to from officials with regards to just how much and the breakdown of what was spent with regards to this project.
So, Manqoba, we've got the Premier who is social distancing himself from this project. Do we know how it got to this point without any quality control? And at this stage, who's responsible for all of this?
Well, Jeremy, we've spoken to the Premier's office, and they are distancing themselves from this project. In fact, as you've alluded to this fact that they have said that they were not aware. The Premier saying that he was not aware until he arrived here that these were actually shack buildings that were erected here. So he's distanced himself. In fact, he's saying that we need to speak to the COGTA department or the housing department as well and find answers from there. But we've also made contact with them. They're also pointing fingers at the Housing Development Agency, which is a national structure, Jeremy, that works under the Human Settlement Department. So we understand that they're the ones that actually were given the tender to provide this emergency for settlement. And what they're saying, the HDA, is that this is not basically a low-cost housing project that has been launched here, but this is rather what they say is an emergency COVID-19 housing settlement, which has been erected to try and decongest some of these areas, especially informal settlement. You recall that this was also announced by the Human Settlement Minister that they were going to be decongesting some of these areas to try and alleviate the risk of COVID-19. So they're saying that this is one of those projects. It's not a low-cost housing project, but rather an emergency project for COVID-19. And we do know that this is not the only project here in Limpopo. There are also others. We hear that there's a possible other project of over 150 houses that is also going to be erected in Burgersfort. So at this point, the Housing Development Agency telling us that they're still going to try and see if they can have a press briefing. They are promising that they might have a press briefing later today or even tomorrow to try and answer some of these questions that have arisen as a result of this project.
All right, lots of backpedaling, it seems, lots of unanswered questions. 2.4 million rand is nonetheless a lot of money.